Hi, my name is Everett. Today I am reading Dragon Masters, Roar of the Thunder Dragon by Tracy West. Chapter 1, Looking for Lalo. Lalo! Lalo! Drake and Carlos called out as they walked through the trees in front of the two Dragon Masters. A large brown dragon slithered along the path. Behind them, a short, chubby wizard named Diego watched the sky. Together, they were searching for Carlos's dragon, Lalo. Carlos had only just met his lightning dragon when something terrible had happened. A woman named Eiko flew into Carlos's land 2 days ago riding a thunder dragon. She kidnapped Lalo. Drake's earth dragon, Worm, had brought them to an island to look for Eiko. Drake looked up at the trees. They were different from the ones back at home in the kingdom of Bracken. These trees had long, skinny trunks. Their green, ruffled leaves reminded him of feathers. Do you think we'll find her here? Drake asked Diego. Maybe, the wizard replied. Griffith's gazing ball showed Eiko on an island a lot like this one. Griffith, another wizard, was Diego's friend and Drake's teacher. Kiki! Drake heard a cry. He looked up to see a brightly colored bird flying across the blue sky. This would be a nice place to hide out, Drake said. But I still don't get why Eiko kidnapped Lalo. She's a dragon master just like me, Diego frowned. As you know, Griffith teaches young dragon masters how to work with their dragons. Eiko was his first student. She and Griffith often argued, he replied. About what? Drake asked. Eiko did not want to follow Griffith's rules, Diego replied, and one day many years ago she left Bracken. She took her thunder dragon Niru with her. Did you go after her? Drake asked. Yes, Diego replied, but Griffith and I could not find Eiko or her dragon. We have not seen them since until 2 days ago. Carlos had been quiet for a while. Now the dark-haired boy turned to Diego. Do you think we'll find Eiko and Niru now? He asked. Diego nodded. There are more of us looking for them this time, he said. Other dragon masters were searching out. Bo and his water dragon Shu, Anna and her sun dragon Kepri, Rory and her fire dragon Vulcan, and Petra and her poison dragon Zara. Griffith was in Bracken watching over them with his gazing ball. I just hope that Lalo is safe, Carlos said. Drake walked up to Worm. His dragon had tiny wings, but he couldn't fly. He didn't need to. Worm could use the powers of his mind to travel anywhere. Worm, I know you can sometimes use your mind powers to hear other dragons, Drake said. Do you hear Lalo? Worm shook his head. Then his eyes suddenly flashed green. What is it? Drake asked. Every dragon master wore a piece of the dragon stone that connected them to their dragons. Now Drake's dragon stone glowed green. Worm looked up. The sky turned black. A strong wind whipped up. A jagged streak of lightning flashed. That could be Lalo's lightning, Carlos cried. Then boom! Thunder crashed. Lightning flashed again. This time it hit the ground next to them, sizzling. This is a dangerous storm, Diego yelled. Over the roaring wind, we must go. He touched Worm. The boys did the same. Before the next bolt of lightning flashed, they all disappeared. Chapter 2, King Roland's Big News. Drake's stomach flip-flopped as Worm transported them to Bracken. They landed inside the training room in King Roland's castle. Drake, Carlos, you're back! Bo cried. Drake blinked. His friends, Bo and Anna, were running toward him, followed by Griffith. The tall wizard looked happy to see them. You didn't find Lalo either, Bo asked. Drake shook his head. We went to an island, Bo continued, and we looked everywhere. So did we, Drake said, but then a bad thunderstorm kicked up and we had to leave. Griffith raised an eyebrow. A storm, a bad storm, Diego said. Niru and Lalo might have caused it, but we couldn't stay to find out. When can we go back? Carlos asked. Let's return to my cottage, Diego said. We can use my gazing ball to see when the island is safe. Let us know what you find, Griffith said. Diego waved his wand. Poof! Diego and Carlos disappeared. Just then, Rory and Petra came into the room. Red-haired Rory was frowning. Why did you make us come back? Rory asked, looking at Griffith. We were close to finding Lalo. I know it. Actually, King Roland requested that you all return, Griffith replied. I'm glad that we're all together, Petra said. I'm not sure if Rory and I could fight Eiko on our own. I'm not afraid of Eiko, Rory said. You should be, Griffith said. Over time, Eiko has learned to tap into the powers of her dragon. That makes her very strong. Will we be able to tap into our dragon's powers too, Drake asked. Griffith nodded. Yes, but learning that takes many years, and I hope that you will all use that power to do good. Eiko has chosen another path. All stand for King Roland. 2 royal guards entered the room. Everyone got quiet. King Roland stomped down the stairs. His red cape flapped behind him. Wizard, Dragon Masters, I have news, King Roland said. I am going to marry Queen Rose of Arkwood. Anna clapped her hands. Petra made a squealing sound. Drake and Bo exchanged happy looks. Queen Rose is so kind, Drake thought. Even Rory smiled. Congratulations, Your Highness, Griffith said. When is the wedding? Tomorrow, King Roland replied. There will be a big celebration, and I want to begin with a parade of dragons. We will get to work on it right away, my king, Griffith promised. Very good, the king said as he turned to leave. I expect the most wonderful parade ever seen. Do not disappoint me, wizard. Chapter 3, A Little Hope for Magic. We can't plan a silly parade, Rory said. We have to keep looking for Lalo. Carlos and Diego are looking for Lalo, Griffith said. We must obey our king. Rory frowned but didn't argue. There is so much to do, Petra said. This is so exciting, Anna exclaimed. She ran into the classroom and everyone else followed her. Then she began to draw. King Roland and Queen Rose need to make a grand entrance, she said. They should ride through the village in a fancy carriage, pulled by dragons. She would be honored to pull the carriage, Bo said. Anna nodded. Kepri too. They both can pull the carriage. She started drawing again. Our dragons should do tricks to show off their powers, Rory said. Vulcan can shoot fireballs. Fireballs are dangerous, Griffith said. Let's try to think of a safe thing your dragons can do. Rory frowned and folded her arms. Zara could sing, Petra said. She has a beautiful voice. I'm not sure what Worm could do, Drake said. You'll think of something, Drake, Anna promised. She held up a drawing of a fancy carriage. How's this? It's perfect, Bo said, but where will we get a carriage like that by tomorrow? Anna looked at Griffith. Could you use magic? Griffith stroked his beard. I could do a transformation spell, he said, but I need something to transform, something round and white. An onion, Drake cried. I'll get one. Drake ran off and soon returned with a big white onion from the kitchen. I bet my family grew this one, he said. We're the best onion growers in the kingdom. They all turned to the training room. Griffith placed the onion in the drawing on the floor. Stand back, he said. Griffith pointed at the onion. Sparks flew from his finger. They hit the onion. A simple onion is what we see, but a kindly carriage you shall be, he rhymed. The onion began to grow and grow. A big white carriage sat where the onion had been. The carriage was made of wood carved with flowers. It looked just like Anna's drawing. It's perfect, Anna cried. This is a wonderful start, Griffith said. Come, we have more work to do before the wedding. Chapter 4, A Parade of Dragons. Today's a beautiful day for a wedding, Anna cheered the next morning. There isn't a cloud in the sky, agreed Bo. The Dragon Masters were outside the castle doors, ready for the wedding parade to begin. Each Dragon Master was wearing new clothes made by King Roland's tailors. Anna wore a yellow dress that shone like the sun. Bo wore a silky blue tunic with a wave stitched onto it. Rory's dress was as red as fire with a high ruffled collar. Petra's green dress had long sleeves and short train behind it. Drake looked down at his yellow shirt and his brown pants. His new outfit looked a lot like his old one, but only neater and cleaner. I love how we match our dragons, Petra said. You look like a fire dragon, Princess Rory. Rory smiled. Thanks, she said, but can I be a fire dragon warrior instead? Of course you can, Petra replied. Griffith appeared, places everyone. The king and queen are coming. Rory ran to Vulcan, who was leading the parade. She climbed up and sat in the saddle. Puffs of gray smoke streamed from her fire dragon's nostrils. Drake picked up 2 buckets with flowers and ran to Worm's side. Worm stood next to Petra and her poison dragon, Zera. Each of the Hydra's 4 heads were smiling. Behind them, straps connected Kepri and Shu to the magical white carriage. Anna and Bo rode on their dragons. Just then, King Roland and Queen Rose stepped on the balcony. The king wore his royal garments. Queen Rose wore a long white gown, with red roses stitched all over it. Her eyes got wide when she saw the parade. Roland, what a lovely surprise. You know how much I adore your dragons. The king and queen came out of the castle. King Roland opened the door of the carriage. After you, my dear, he said. Then they both climbed inside. Let the wedding parade begin, the King Roland announced. The castle gates opened and the dragons stepped forward, led by Griffith. Villagers from Bracken and Arkwood clapped as the parade made its way to the wedding grounds. Vulcan flew into the air. Red and orange sparks shot from his nose. The crowd cheered. On the ground, the Hydra began to sing. Sweet tones drifted over the crowd. Now Worm, Drake said, and his dragon's eyes began to glow green. Flowers floated out of Drake's buckets. They bounced and danced in the air like butterflies. Kids jumped up to catch them, giggling. The loudest cheers went up as Kepri and Shu pulled the white carriage through the crowd. King Roland and Queen Rose waved to the villagers. Huzzah for King Roland! Huzzah for Queen Rose! Everyone cheered. Suddenly, without warning, the sky grew dark and a wind whipped up. Lightning flashed. Take cover, Griffith yelled. The villagers rushed to stand under one of the wedding tents. King Roland pulled Queen Rose away from the carriage window. A loud roar filled the air, and a roar like thunder. Boom! Drake looked up. A hole made of purple swirling energy appeared in the sky. Eco and her thunder dragon swooped down from the hole. A baby lightning dragon flew behind them. Lalo! Drake yelled. Chapter 5. Eco's Demand. I want the dragons, Eco called out. Release them to me and I will leave. Drake and the other dragon masters stared up at Eco and her thunder dragon. Eco had black hair and piercing eyes. A glowing green dragonstone hung around her neck. Dark purple scales rippled down the long body of the thunder dragon. Its 4 legs had big claws. Whiskers flowed from its snout. The lightning dragon hovered behind the thunder dragon. Drake saw a whip of dark purple light connecting Lalo to Eco. Lalo can't get away, he thought. Eco is using Nero's powers to control him. Give me the dragons, Eco repeated, and her voice carried across the courtyard. Eco, give Lalo to us, Griffith called up to her. Never, Eco replied, and I will not leave without the other dragons. King Roland shook his fist at her. These dragons belong to me. Eco glared down at the king. Dragons belong to no one, she cried. Then let Lalo go, Griffith yelled. You don't care about him, you're only using him to cause the storm. The lightning dragon should be with my thunder dragon, Eco yelled. They belong together. Boom! Nero roared loudly. Drake felt the earth shake under his feet. Lalo flapped his wings, nervously shooting off sizzling sparks. The terrified villagers screamed and ran away. Drake glanced at the other dragon masters. They looked stunned and scared. But where are Rory and Vulcan, Drake wondered. Griffith stepped forward. Eco, enough! We'll let you fly away if you stop this now, he called out to her. Eco laughed. You'll let me fly away? I'm the one who's in control, Griffith. Nero and I are more powerful than ever. Boom! The Thunder Dragon roared again. Drake had to cover his ears. Then Drake saw something red streaked across the sky. Rory swooped down, riding Vulcan. Her eyes looked angry as Vulcan dove down toward Eiko and the Thunder Dragon. "Blast them!" Rory yelled. Chapter 6. Battle in the Sky. "Rory, no!" Griffith yelled, but Vulcan had already launched a fireball at the Thunder Dragon. As it hurled through the air, Niru roared again. Boom! This time purple energy lines appeared surrounding Niru and Eiko. The big fireball bounced off the purple lines and landed in the grass. The grass burst into flame. Bo climbed the back on Shu. He unleashed her from the carriage. "Shu, water blast," he commanded. Shu quickly shot water on the fire, putting it out. Up in the sky, Eiko turned to face Rory. "Foolish girl," she cried. "Your dragon is no match for mine." Rory ignored her. "Vulcan, fire!" "Rory, no!" Griffith yelled. "Stop! It's too dangerous." Vulcan launched another fireball. Once again, Niru roared and the flame bounced off the purple energy shield. It whizzed right over Drake's head and landed in the grass next to the carriage. Shu put out the flames. "I must contact Diego," Griffith said as he took a small gazing ball from his pocket. "I will need his help to create a magic bubble, strong enough to hold Eiko and Niru. Rory won't listen, so I need all of you to protect your dragons and also the king and queen." Anna spoke to Khepri. The Sun Dragon raced forward, pulling the carriage back toward the castle. At the same time, Vulcan shot another fireball. It hit the purple whip, connecting Lalo to Eiko. Lalo broke free, raining sparks down on the carriage. "Worm, get the king and queen to safety," Drake yelled. Worm's eyes glowed green in a flash. He transported the carriage in another flash. Worm, the carriage, Anna, and Khepri disappeared. Then Drake heard Worm's voice inside his head. "All safe inside the castle." Above, the frightened baby dragon was flying in circles, shooting out sparks. Then Drake heard a sound. He turned to see Zara singing. The song was sweet and calming. Curious, Lalo started to fly toward the Hydra. But then, boom! Niru's roar rocked the courtyard. Lalo shrieked and shot sparks. The boom hit Vulcan and knocked him out of the sky. Rory screamed as she and her dragon slammed into the ground. "Rory!" Drake cried. He ran toward her. "Nice try," Eiko called out to Rory. "Too bad you will never become a real warrior. Griffith will never teach you the real power." "Stop this now, Eiko!" Griffith yelled. He pointed at her and a large blue bubble began to form. Eiko laughed. "Your silly magic can't stop me, Griffith," she cried. "These dragons are coming with me." Chapter 7. Frozen. Eiko glared down at Griffith. "You will never capture us." Poof! Diego and Carlos appeared just in time. "Diego, hurry! Add your magic to mine," Griffith called out. Diego looked up at the battle in the sky. He pointed. A blue light streamed out of his fingertips, joined Griffith's bubble. The two wizards pushed the magic bubble toward Eiko and Niru. At the same time, Carlos saw the baby lightning dragon. "Lalo, I'm here!" he yelled. Lalo heads turned. At the sound of his name, he spotted Carlos. With a happy cry, he flew down to his dragon master. "Lalo, no!" Eiko yelled. The wizard's magic bubble surrounded Eiko and Niru. "Good boy, Lalo," Carlos said as the baby lightning dragon landed beside him. "Niru, roar!" Eiko commanded. Boom! Niru roared and the bubble wobbled. "How about a freezing spell?" Diego asked, and Griffith nodded. Then the two wizards chanted, "Frozen in space, frozen in time, frozen in space, frozen in time." Inside the magic bubble, Eiko and Niru stopped moving. The bubble gently floated to the ground and faded away. Eiko and Niru stood as still as statues. Drake helped Rory up. "Are you okay?" he asked. Rory nodded. "Just some bumps, that's all." Griffith marched up to her. "Rory, you must never use Vulcan to attack like that again." "I wasn't attacking, I was offending," Rory argued. "I stopped Eiko from taking all of our dragons." "What you did was very dangerous, Rory," Griffith scolded. You must learn to think before you act." "Somebody had to do something," Rory shot back. You used your dragon You used your dragon's powers without my permission, Griffith said. You cannot do that. Rory, you are still a young dragon master. You have much to learn. Drake and Bo looked at each other. They were both thinking the same thing. Rory is always arguing with Griffith. King Roland came out of the castle. He marched over to Griffith. What just happened here, wizard? The king demanded. Chapter 8. What now? Griffith bowed to the king. I am sorry, said the wizard. We have captured the attacker. He pointed to Eiko. King Roland blinked. Is this the dragon master who ran away with my thunder dragon years ago? He asked. Yes, it is, Griffith answered. The king's face darkened. I must decide what punishment fits her best. If you will allow me, your highness, said Griffith, I will bring Eiko and her dragon to the dragon caves for now. The frozen spell will wear off soon, but I will make sure that she does not escape. Very well, said the king. He stomped back inside the castle. Griffith turned to Drake. Please go with Worm and transport Eiko and Niru to the dragon caves, he said. We will meet you there. Are you sure they won't unfreeze? Drake said nervously. You will be safe, Griffith promised. Worm snaked his body around Eiko and Niru. Drake touched Worm. Green light flashed as they transported with the still frozen Eiko and Niru. Even frozen, Eiko's eyes glared with anger. Drake looked into them and shivered. He breathed a sigh of relief when the others arrived a few minutes later. Everyone put your dragons inside their caves, Griffith ordered. Carlos, I have a cave ready for Lalo. I will put Niru in the cave beside him. Before Drake began, you said that Niru and Lalo have a special connection. Griffith nodded. Combining their powers are very strong, he said. I am sure that is why Eiko stole Lalo. Then the wizard pointed at Niru and surrounded him with a magic bubble. The bubble floated above the ground and into the cave. Niru will not harm us if Eiko cannot control him, Griffith said. Now where should we put Eiko? Diego asked. I have a special cell in mind, Griffith replied. Please move her dragon stone and follow me. Right, Diego answered. Diego removed Eiko's dragon stone and handed it to Griffith. Then Diego captured Eiko in a magic bubble. Griffith went over to the wall. He placed his hand on a slab of stone and pushed on it. A door opened, revealing a tunnel. A secret tunnel, Bo whispered to Drake. Everyone, go to the classroom, please, Griffith instructed. We will meet you there shortly. Griffith nodded to Diego, who still held Eiko in a magic bubble. The two wizards headed into the tunnel. The dragon master started to walk to the classroom. Petra looked back. Why does Eiko want to steal all of our dragons, she asked. I do not know, Drake answered. She couldn't control our dragons if she got them. They only listen to us, their dragon masters. But she used Niru's powers to keep Lalo prisoner, Carlos said. Could she do that with all of our dragons too? Maybe she could, Bo said, but that would take a lot of power. They entered the classroom. What do we do now? Petra asked. We wait, I guess, Drake replied. Bo, Anna, Carlos, and Petra sat down and kept talking. Rory paused at the door. Drake kept his eye on her. He watched as she left the classroom. What's she up to now? Drake wondered. I hope she's not getting into more trouble. Drake glanced at the other dragon masters. They were still talking about Eiko. He quietly slipped out of the room. Chapter 9. Eiko's Story. Drake saw Rory just up ahead. She was hurrying down the tunnel leading to the dragon caves. Is she going to visit Vulcan? Drake wondered. He kept following her, but she passed right by the dragon's caves. She entered the secret tunnel leading to Griffith and Diego, and Eiko. When Drake caught up to Rory, she was standing outside Eiko's cell. She frowned when she saw Drake. She put a finger to her lips. We shouldn't do that. We shouldn't be down here. What are you doing? Drake whispered. Rory frowned. Listen, she hissed. Why, Eiko, why? Griffith was saying from inside the cell. What do you want to do with our dragons? They are not your dragons, Griffith, Eco replied. They never were. Just like poor Nero was never yours to take. The wizards were silent. That's right. You can't deny it, Eco said. I know that Nero was taken from his family, Eco, Griffith said. It was for the best. You and Nero were meant to be together. The Dragonstone chose you to connect with him. But Nero didn't choose to serve your greedy king, Eco replied. That is why I had to free him. Then Drake heard Diego's voice. Eco, how is Nero free? He asked. He is with you, not his family. I gave him a choice, and he chose to stay with me, Eco said. He had been away from his family for too long to go back, but it is not too late for the other dragons. I knew that if I was more powerful, then I could rescue more dragons from greedy rulers like King Roland. So I spent years learning how to tap into the powers of my own. And then I heard about a lost baby dragon. I saw you use your powers to keep Lalo prisoner with you, Griffith pointed out. He is not free, and Lalo was created by the Prime Dragonstone. He has no family except for Carlos, Diego added. He still has a right to be free if he wants when he is old enough, Eco said. The other Dragon Masters, they can be free now. I do not believe that you really want the dragons to be free, Griffith said. I fear you want them for your own gain. You never trusted me, Griffith, Eco said, and you have not changed. I can tell that you did not trust that fiery girl today, the only brave one among your Dragon Masters. Drake glanced at Rory. Her eyes were wide. You never gave me a reason to trust you, Griffith replied. You could have talked to us about your concern of the dragons. Instead, you attacked. You'll never change. We should leave, Griffith, Diego said. Eco is as stubborn as ever. She will not listen to us. Rory tugged on Drake's sleeve. Let's go, she whispered. Rory and Drake ran down the tunnel. Drake's mind was racing faster than his feet. He kept thinking about one thing Eco had said, about Nero being taken from his family. Worm had once showed Drake a vision, King Roland's soldiers storming into the cave of Earth Dragons. They took Worm from his family. Worm had felt so afraid. Is Eco right? He wondered, would Worm be better without me? Chapter 10. Who is right? Rory and Drake ran into the classroom. The other Dragon Masters rushed over. Where did you two go? Anna asked. Rory didn't answer. She turned to face Drake. Her eyes blazed with anger. Why did you follow me? She asked. I just wanted to see where you were sneaking off to, Drake said, in case you were up to something. Rory folded her arms across her chest. What does that mean? It means Griffith was right. Sometimes you do act without thinking, Rory, Drake blurted out. Now Rory's voice sounded hurt. Is that what you really think, Drake? You're taking Griffith's side? Really? Look at what happened to Drake replied. Eco attacked, and then you attacked Eco. And Griffith told you to stop, but you didn't, Petra added. You too, Petra? Rory asked. Eco is going to take our dragons, and now we know why. Bo's eyes got wide. Why? What did you hear? Eco thinks King Roland was wrong to take these dragons from their homes, Rory said. She thinks they should be free. But we are connected to our dragons, Bo said. They want to stay with us, Anna chimed in. Remember when I asked Khepri if she wanted to stay in the land of pyramids? She chose to stay with me, and Zero has no home to go to, Petra said. She loves it here. Rory frowned. I guess, but I know Vulcan misses his family sometimes. He tells me so. It's confusing, Drake said. I agree it was wrong for King Roland to capture the dragons the way that he did, but I think we're meant to be paired with them. Just think about all the good we've done together, Anna pointed out. And remember what Griffith said about the Dragonstone, Drake said? It brings dragons and their masters together for a reason. Maybe King Roland could stop using his soldiers to capture dragons, Anna suggested. Maybe there must be a better way, Drake nodded. We could ask Griffith to talk to him, Rory. Griffith and Diego stepped into the classroom. Rory, I am very unhappy with you for disobeying me today, Griffith said, but I would like to thank the rest of you for following directions. You did well. Rory scowled. I did what I thought was right, she said. I defended the castle from Maldred once, remember? Yes, but today your actions put many people in danger, Griffith said. You are still a student and I am your teacher. You need to do what I say. Rory balled her hands into fists. She looked down at the floor. What happened now to Eiko and her dragon? Anna asked. I will deal with Eiko, Griffith replied. I can make her see that she is wrong. You will do nothing. I will deal with Eiko. The Dragon Masters gasped as King Roland marched into the classroom. Chapter 11. King Roland's Demand. I have made a decision about Eiko, King Roland said to Griffith. You will use your wizard magic to send her far, far away, but we will keep her dragon. We will give it a new Dragon Master. Your Highness, Griffith said. I know I can speak. King Roland held up his hand. Stop, Griffith, he said. Years ago, when you let Griffith get away with my dragon, I did not punish you, but now she is a danger to us. You will do as I ask. Rory stepped forward. You can't take Nero away from Eiko. A dragon and Dragon Master have a bond. Griffith put a hand on Rory's shoulder. Your Highness, I have taken Eiko's Dragonstone away from her so she cannot connect with her dragon, he said. I will ask the Dragonstone to find a new Dragon Master for Nero. This isn't right, Rory argued. She brushed away Griffith's hand. Get it done, wizard. You have until dawn to banish Eiko, King Roland ordered. And I want to see you and your Dragon Masters in my throne room in 1 hour. Queen Rose and I will be wed in a simple ceremony. We will be there, Griffith replied, and the king left. Rory sat down. She stared at her boots. Drake could see tears glistening in her eyes. Griffith, where will you send Eiko? Bo asked. I don't know yet, Griffith replied, and his voice sounded sad. Do you really have to send her far away? Petra asked. Maybe the king... Griffith interrupted her. I do not agree with the king, he said, but I must obey him. Chapter 12. A Strong Connection. Diego clapped his hands together. You all have a wedding to prepare for, he said, and Carlos and I must take Lalo back home. Let us go to the Dragon Caves, Griffith said. Moments later, they all gathered around as Diego opened the door to Lalo's cave. Lalo, we're going home now, Carlos said, patting the baby dragon's head. You will sleep in Diego's stable. Back at Diego's cottage, the dragon stone around Carlos's neck began to glow. Carlos smiled. Lalo does not know words yet, but he sends me feelings. He told the Dragon Masters. Right now, he is calm and happy. Diego stepped inside the cave. It's settled then. The three of us will head home. Have fun at the wedding, everyone, Diego said. Then he looked right at Griffith. And good luck. Poof! Diego, Carlos, and Lalo disappeared. Griffith turned to the Dragon Masters. Now we must get ready for the wedding. Let's get you all cleaned up. The Dragon Masters' fancy outfits were torn and stained. Diego pointed at Bo. Sparks flew from his fingertips. Bo's blue tunic looked like new again. Griffith used magic to spruce them all up, one by one. Drake was too lost in thoughts to enjoy the fun magic. Did Worm miss his home? He wondered. If he wanted to be free, could I let him go? Dragon Masters, please shine your dragon scales, Griffith said. Drake entered Worm's cave. He gave Worm mushrooms, his dragon favorite snack. He shined Worm's scales with a brush. Worm, if you could go back home, would you? Drake asked. Worm turned his head to look at Drake. He was silent for a moment. Then he heard Worm's voice in his head. Drake is my home. Drake hugged Worm around the neck. You're my home too, Worm. Then Anna and Petra burst into the cave. It's time for the king's wedding, Petra announced. Chapter 13. Rory. King Roland stood in front of his throne in the castle's grand throne room. Behind him stood Father John, the royal priest. The Dragon Masters and Griffith joined the small crowd gathered for the wedding. Drake saw the people closest to the king and queen, lords and ladies and family members. The royal musicians struck up a tune. Queen Rose walked to the front of the big room. Her wedding gown still looked beautiful. Two young women walked on either side of her. They looked like her, and Drake guessed they were her sisters. Queen Rose stopped beside King Roland. He held out his hand, and she took them. Father John coughed. He adjusted his spectacles on his nose. King Roland the Bold, do you like this woman, Queen Rose the Just? He asked. Yes, King Roland exclaimed. And Queen Rose the Just, do you love this man, King Roland the Bold? Father John asked. I do, Queen Rose said. Excellent, said Father John. I now pronounce you husband and wife. The crowd cheered. The musicians played a lively song. The Dragon Masters joined in the great feast. This is more food than I've ever seen, Bo exclaimed. I know, Drake said, filling his plate. For a little while he forgot about Eiko and the Thunder Dragon. When the party was all over, all of the Dragon Masters went to their rooms. Drake fell asleep right away. He dreamed of feasting and dancing. Rory! Worm's voice echoed in his head. Rory! Drake woke up. He jumped out of his bed. He ran to the room that Rory shared with Anna. Anna was asleep, but Rory wasn't in her bed. There was a note. Drake picked it up. Dear Anna, Bo, Drake, and Petra, I had to help Eiko. Griffith and the king should not punish her for trying to help the dragons. And it is not fair to take Niru away from his dragon master. Niru should be with Eiko. You all took Griffith's side against me, but Eiko thinks I'm brave. I heard her say so. Together we will free dragons around the world. I am not coming back, but don't worry about me. Vulcan told me he will stay with me and help me. We will take care of each other. Rory. Drake's heart pounded. Rory is gone, he yelled, hoping the cry would wake the others up. He raced downstairs to the dragon caves. Right away, he saw two cave doors open, Vulcan's and Niru's. Worm was standing in front of the open caves. A force field of purple light surrounded him. Worm, you all right? Drake asked. Are you all right? Worm's green eyes flashed. So did Drake's Dragonstone. He saw pictures in his mind. Worm was showing him what happened. Rory freed Eiko. She had a key with her. Eiko was freeing Niru from her cave. Rory was freeing Vulcan. Then Rory led Eiko and Niru. Then Worm tried. They led Eiko and Niru out of the castle. Then Worm tried to stop him, but Eiko put her hand out and a force field of purple light came out of it. Using Niru's powers, the picture stopped. Drake gasped. Griffith and the other Dragon Masters ran up to him. Rory helped Eiko escape, he cried, and they took Vulcan and Niru with them. Chapter 14. Gone. Eiko did something to Worm, Drake asked. Griffith, can you use magic to help him? The wizard nodded. He shot blue sparks from his fingertips. The sparks hit the purple energy around Worm. The energy disappeared. Niru's powers froze Worm so he couldn't stop them from escaping, the wizard explained. Worm saw Rory and Eiko come out of the secret tunnel, Drake said. He showed me what happened. Rory had the key with her and Eiko was wearing her Dragonstone. Rory must have taken Eiko's Dragonstone from my workshop, Griffith said. Anna gasped. I'm sure Eiko forced her to do it. I don't think so, Drake said. He showed Anna the note. Rory didn't think it was fair to keep Eiko and Niru apart, and she was mad at all of us for not sticking up for her after she and Vulcan attacked Eiko. She should have talked to us, Petra cried. She didn't need to run away. I'm worried about her, Drake said. Rory thinks Eiko is good, and I'm not sure if she can trust her. We need to go after them, Bo said. Rory could be in danger. I am worried about Rory too, Griffith said, and we must find her before the king learns that 2 of his dragons have escaped. We don't have much time, Drake said. I know Rory will listen to us when we find her, Anna said. We're her best friends. We might have to battle Eco again, said Bo. That won't be easy. We can do anything when we work together, Petra added. That's right, Drake said. We can do this. Simon the guard marched into the dragon caves. Dragon Masters, you have a visitor, he said. A visitor? Griffith asked. A girl walked up behind Simon. Drake could see a dragonstone hanging around her neck. My name is Mina, she said, and I need your help. The end. I hope you liked reading Dragon Master's Roar of the Thunder Dragon by Tracy West. I hope you will stay in tune for any other Dragon Master audio books I will read. So I hope you stay in tune. Bye!